co-production, what shirt you should wear. So instead of me saying you're going to wear this shirt today, it's you would have to decide instead. I think I said that about right, didn't I, Sam?
Yeah, we were talking about it's not consultation, weren't we? We were saying
that's it.
It's about people making decisions together rather than just being asked what they want.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we got a little bit later, a sort of, I think it's a bit of a cartoon to explain what it's all about, what co-production is, and I find it very easy to follow, and I started giggling at the beginning of it, so you might find it a bit amusing as well.
Okay, do you want us to show that now? Shall we do that now if we can get the technology to work? Okay, so like Gary says, we think this is a funny video. You don't have to agree. It's only 5 minutes long, so it you know, hopefully it will be okay. Yeah. We would like to show you this video, and then after that we'll do a bit of work where you think about what could you do to explain it to other people. Now the big test here.
The parable of the blobs and squares. Governments like to do stuff. They think they can help and make people better.
Now, we wanted you to watch that because that's one way that some people chose to explain co-production to other people. Mm. It might not be the right way for you to explain it to people in McIntyre.
Yeah.
But it was just an example. So we thought if you could, we'll do some working groups to think about, having seen that video, what does it make you think are the big messages that you want to get to people, but also how could you do it? Could you make your own little films? Should you be going to meetings, members of this group? Could you be getting it in training? Could you be writing stuff, drawing stuff, using modern dance? I'm stretching a bit now. But who are we to say how you might help people understand and be able to tell people all the time, like not just as a big one-off, if you know what I mean. What are the things that you can do? Does that make sense to you all? Yeah. So Catherine, I think, is because she's the host, is going to put us in rooms.
Yeah.
You've got about 16 minutes. Okay, I think we're all back, aren't we? Is that right? Now then, who wants to? What did you talk about in your group? What were you left thinking after that video? What ideas? Vicky, go on.
We were mostly talking about how crap the video was.
That's great. It got you talking. Go on. Why was it crap, Vicky?
Well, Mark was saying that people are not blobs, and they're not squares either. So that kind of made it like squares are normal, blobs are stupid.
Oh.
Which is not true, because a lot of blobs seem to be a lot smarter than most people.
I thought it was a bit so to me.
But that's all right, because it made you think about what you don't want to do to talk about co-production. You don't have to agree or like it. What's important is we think about what will help different people understand it, isn't it? I guess.
I don't have anything for that one.
Okay. Did you talk about what you would like? What you think the messages should be about co-production? Did you get a chance to do that, or did we bring you back before you got a chance to do that? Gwen, were you in that group?
I was in the same group, yeah. Mark said the message needed to be simple, and that there were some messages in that film, but they were lost because of the presentation. A very quick conversation about maybe putting posters up so that, you know, people would see them. But mostly we talked about how awful the film was and what we didn't like about it.
What about, is that you guys with your hand up there? Is that right? Or are you agreeing? Do you want to come in? Yeah.
Yeah, I can feedback because I've got notes. We spoke about, it's past the point now of consultation, because consultation gets mistaken for co-production. It's not co-production, so we need to move on past that stage. It's time to start sharing some of the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a big real point. So consultation is not co-production. It's kind of telling people what you're doing. Yeah, we quite like the squares and the blobs, didn't we?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, we said we thought that there are square. Yeah, that was a film about the government and stuff like that. But we thought there were blobs and squares in McIntyre as well.
Yeah.
And blobby squares, I got called a blobby square, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, we like that message, and we like the message as well that you shouldn't turn blobs into squares. I thought that was one of the best messages from that film through co-production.
Yeah.
So we talked about a similar, like doing something ourselves with a similar type of message, but more McIntyre, all related to all what we're all doing. So Easy Read Docs, we talked about films. We talked about challenging when co-production is not being done in the correct way, because sometimes it's people aren't doing the wrong thing, but they're not understanding maybe what co-production is. And one of our big ideas that we came out with, I don't know, was that co-pro reps. So people like Ian and Sue Linney talked about possibly going around to areas in Milton Keynes and sharing what we're doing. So it comes outside of this room, this Zoom, and goes into the real world.
Yeah.
You had an idea of making a short film, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Yeah. So we talked about, we're not too sure, is Sue Ling still here? We're not too sure.
She's here, yeah.
I don't know if we've talked about this group before, but Sue Ling's working on her own project called The Sue Ling Show at the moment. But we're not sure whether she's holding out for bigger money because she was a little bit cautious. But we said maybe she could do a Sue Ling Show co-pro special. But yeah, I think, is that everything, guys? Did I catch all of that, do you think? Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. I think, though, this is a really important point for you as a group, is that different ways of talking about this will work for different people. Now, I love the blobs and the squares because I don't think there's anything wrong with either being a square or a blob. It's just different.
Yeah.
And in Learn Disability England, I am the most square of all of us because I'm the chief executive. They pay me to be a square at work. And I am proud of that, because if I was not worrying about things like charity law, we'd be in serious trouble. Well, we might be in serious trouble anyway, but you know what I mean? We need me to do that, and that's okay. I don't mind that, Yeah. Okay. Next group. Anything else to add?
We had a few different ideas. Rhiannon, did you want to say the idea that you came up with?
I came up with the idea of making colourful badges to let everyone know co-production, so we can all wear them.
Nice.
And we thought as well that would link to our part in the roadshows, so we could have like a template and people could design a co-pro badge. We thought it'd be a good talking point as well. If we're wearing it, we can all then say what we're wearing it for and what it represents. A few of the other things was posters again, like one of the other groups has said, and also a film, but a much more shorter version and a more accessible version to suit McIntyre. We also spoke as well that maybe we should have some sort of guidance on what co-production is, so that it's that no matter what part of the country we're in and who's representing the group, that it's got that consistency across. But then we can still share our own individual ways of what co-production means to us.
Brilliant. Does anybody else want to add anything from that group? Anything we've missed? Kirsty?
I wasn't in the group, but just quickly picking up on one thing that we did talk about, it would be really nice for representatives of this group to try and get a slot at one of the director meetings to talk about what we're doing. And that would be a really nice way to start sharing the information and sharing the activity that's going on concerning co-production.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, so how can do you all agree with the group that Meg was in, that you should have like a set of McIntyre rules for what we mean by co-production? So people can check if they're doing it? Yeah.
Yeah, looks.
How can you do that? Could a small who could decide those? How will you decide those?
It's funny. We had a funny conversation about co-production needing to be co-produced, and the importance of it. You know, of that almost being so very cyclical. But we were talking more about standards for the staff and anyone that we might come in contact with to understand what it is, but still having that creativity to explain co-production in a way that fits your understanding of it. And so, yeah, I sort of concluded, I think I'm a squarey blob myself. So, you know, pretty square, but maybe blobby on the inside, so.
But that's an important point, isn't it, Seb makes, is that if you're going to be thinking and if you're going to really be committed to co-production, you'll always do things together, won't you? Not everybody in the whole group may be, but it wouldn't be that, I don't know, that Mark would sit on his own and write these rules on his own. Actually, he needs to do that with some other members of the group or with somebody else, because that's co-producing it together, isn't it? Well,
could that be part, if we did go ahead with like a co-pro rep idea, could that be part of their task to go around and put those rules together with the people that they meet with?
Yeah, sure, do.
That could be like one of the first jobs. I don't know.
It'd be really important rules as well.
Yeah, they're going to be important, aren't they? Because
yeah,
they need to be understood as well.
Yeah.
I have a question. I believe what you've said, but do we need some other system that, because at the moment all that we have is just me. I don't know about you, but sometimes I might have ideas other days, but that are on my head. So when I'm just assuming that out on my head or together. So maybe if we have that on our Facebook page or something like that.
So can I just check I heard that right, Mark? You're saying that you need to do some work with each other between the meetings as well as with other people. Is that right? Did I get that right, or did I wrap it around my neck?
About each other a bit more, and that was do this type of meetings. We already have not a plan for ideas to come, if that makes sense.
I think, yeah, I think it does to me. So you're suggesting maybe like a closed Facebook group. Is that because that works for you? I mean, but a way of being able to get to know each other, share ideas, have thought some things through before you come to the meeting. Is that right? Did I hear that?
I think the idea to know a bit more about each other. I know it's different, but I just thought it was a bit nicer as well.
No. I think that's great. We'll check out with others. I think Gwen's been waiting to come in. Gwen?
No, I think Mark's idea is a really good one. I was just going to say that the McIntyre checkers use WhatsApp as our group because we can all access WhatsApp quite easily, quite quickly. And we mostly use it to remind each other when it's work time. But it would be a great space for everybody to have that if it works for people to be able to do a bit of an ideas dump and questions and things in an easily accessible way. So,
and like Mark says, get to know each other a little bit. Who's going to set up the group? Catherine, is that Catherine volunteering? Look at that.
You're first in line, always to volunteer.
Well, I'm happy to, or we'll, and share that with somebody else if somebody else would like to do it.
So Catherine will set it off if anybody's up for that. Is that okay? And then it's up to the rest of you to join in and use it and chat to each other or whatever. So we started all of that thinking about, you've got these ideas for how you might tell people what co-production is. And then you talked about agreeing what the key messages are about co-production in McIntyre. I want to say rules, but I can't think of a better word. I bet you'll come up with a better word when you do it. Thinking about how, even if you all share ideas, then you might need a few of you to work on them and talk them through, mightn't you? And then bring them back to the big group. Are there any of you, and Paul and Ian suggested that some of you might eventually become champions or reps. Did I get reps? Is reps the right word? Yeah. Okay. Are any of you really interested in getting together and sharing ideas to come up with a draft? Being a little subgroup almost. What do you think? Kirsty? Paul and Ian? Sue. So all of you are going to chat and share ideas on WhatsApp and get to know each other, but that group will start having a go. Mark?
I'm up for it.
You're up for it. Brilliant.
Obviously. Yeah.
Well, it's not obvious. Catherine?
I think as well, it'd be good for the group to, it's up to you how much you want to use it, but be aware of the checkers definition, because the checkers did put some thought into this, and that might be a nice starting point to build from. So I'll make sure everybody's got a copy of that.
So Catherine will share the checkers definition. Brilliant. And we've got ideas for what you might call it. You might call it guidance, you might call it principles, you might call it standards. You might just say things you need to know about co-production. But that then really links back to Paul and Ian's point about you all having the confidence to challenge people. If they're saying co-production when in fact what they really mean is consultation. Do you think you need to do that work thinking about how we work together in McIntyre, what co-production is around here?
I don't know, but I think we could commit to saying that we get together as a subgroup between now and the next meeting, because we might decide that we want to go out more widely than this group to understand what that guidance or principles is. So then, Ian, Sue, is that okay if we catch up before the next meeting then to talk about how we're going to do that? Brilliant.
Gary, have you got your agenda? I think we've got one more thing to do, have we? Is that right?
I tried to look for it by putting it up, but I couldn't put it up.
No, we're having a technically difficult day. Catherine, can you keep us on the right track?
I think, wasn't it that I was going to talk a little bit about, it's connected to what we've been talking about, but a bit different about how we tell the rest of the organisation, tell everybody what this group does. So how we share. One of the things we've done, for example, is Paul kindly edits these meetings into a bite size, summary, so we can share that. So we use things like Yammer. And then also what I was thinking, if we've got the Let's Talk Zoom on Thursday, and that's very much about working together and getting people to share their views. So perhaps if we could start publicising these things as under one thing rather than being seen as all separate pieces of work. So we've got Claire here, because obviously Claire and her team help with communication. So again, it was just thinking, is there a group of people who perhaps would be happy to get together to plan how we communicate and to be the voice as well. So it's not Paul, me, Kirsty, whoever it might be, that we're hearing from other people in that group to share those messages.
Be on any group, but I don't want to unbalance by being too many specialist staff. But if we need some more people for the subgroup, I can certainly ask if any of the other Macintyre checkers would like to sit on some of the groups. And this particular one might be useful if it's about communication-y stuff going out. So if you want to count me, I could ask a couple of checkers to join that group if that's useful, just to get more input.
Yeah. Because I think, again, it's similar to getting the message out in different ways. What I'll do is thanks those of you that have volunteered already, and thanks, Gwen, and I'll perhaps get in touch with you again, so give you time to think about it and explain it a bit more as well, so we can get some more people involved.
So that's how you'll link it up to the roadshows. That's how you'll get more people involved. That sounds brilliant.